All right. So we got this thing recording. So Brooke asked me to talk on our team call, and Mark did too. And there was a few Mondays that just kind of with the holiday last Monday, and then I was at my cousin's wedding and stuff. So we kind of combined forces. I've done this before. It's kind of cool. Like sometimes I get to meet some of the other coaches on Team Boom that aren't on your like smaller immediate team. I did this with like I think Celine and Carrie and a couple others. But thanks for moving the call a little bit for some of you guys. I know the time's a little bit different, but I appreciate you guys making that work so we could kind of get more people on the call. So Brooke and Mark both asked me to kind of talk about mindset. So I'm going to talk about that, like the big picture mindset. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about just kind of the mindset that I have around some of like smaller stuff, inviting. Let me see if I can just mute people real quick here. So I have all this in a one-page document, and I use this like every time I train a brand new coach. This is what I follow. And so it's a very simple kind of duplicatable system that I use to train new coaches. And then when my coaches are ready to train a coach of their own, they can follow and use this same document too. And I think that's why the coaches that I bring on, like they have success. And not only do they kind of come on and have success, like they have this mindset that, you know, they know how to train a new coach because the way they got trained was very simple, very kind of a simple system, and they can just follow that same system to train their coaches. So they have a lot of confidence, because I think a lot of times the things that hold coaches back is that they're like, how can I train a coach if I don't really know what I'm doing yet? I don't think I'm ready to be able to train a coach. And if that little seed of doubt is in your mind, then that's going to make you hesitant to invite others to take a look at this opportunity. So we got to get that fear of, oh, I don't really know what to do with a new coach. We got to get rid of that so that you're not hesitant to invite people to take a look at the opportunity. And I think the way I do that a lot of times is by having a simple kind of system that my coaches can use the same system to train their coaches that I use to train them. And they know what it is. They've done it. So I'll send the link. The document's just called Everything a New Coach Needs. Or I think I changed it to just say Everything a Coach Needs. And it's two things, which are really the only two things I ever teach my coaches. One is the mindset, the big picture mindset, the mindset you got to have to be successful. And that honestly is 80% of this business. The second thing I teach are the skills. And the skills are the easy part of the business, because this business isn't rocket science. You know, like I used to be a CPA and you know, that stuff was kind of complicated. Beachbody, like what we do as coaches, is a very simple system. That the hardest part is that mindset piece. So once coaches get the mindset down, the skills, which aren't that complicated, they pick those up. I think I could teach those skills to my 9-year-old nephew. He's pretty smart. I think he could pick them up though. You know, here's the mindset piece though, that is really, I think, 80% of the equation. So anytime someone comes to me and they're like, Pat, how do I build a successful business that's going to impact the most amount of lives? Or Pat, how do I build a successful business that's going to create a full-time 6-figure income business? And the answer to either of those questions is the same answer. The answer is to develop 2 or 3 leaders. To find 2 or 3 people that are going to develop into people that are going to be leaders of their own teams. If you find 2 or 3 people like that, you're going to be able to impact, you and your team are going to be able to impact way more lives than you ever can on your own. And there's a direct correlation between how many lives you and your team are impacting and what you earn. So if you can find 2 or 3 leaders that are helping you build this, that are starting to build teams of their own within your team, there's going to be more people's lives impacted and your pay goes up too. So that the answer to any of those questions in a nutshell, if someone came up to me and was like, Pat, I don't want to hear your spiel. How do you be successful with this business? Just give me a cut and dry. I'd say find 2 or 3 people that are going to turn into leaders. Help them develop into leaders. If you do that, you're going to kill it. You're going to help a shitload of people. Sorry, I don't usually swear. And you're going to build a sweet income too at the same time. So here's the thing though, those 2 or 3 leaders, like a lot of times, like, they're already watching you. Like, they're people that are maybe not coaches yet, but they're already watching you. Or maybe they are coaches, but they haven't developed into that leader yet because they need to watch you for a little bit longer. And I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this escalator thing. So the 2 or 3 leaders you want on your team are going to be people that have 2 things. They have this super strong why, and they have this super strong belief, but they're never going to get to that point until they see you do this. So the catch with this thing is that the 2 or 3 leaders you need on your team, they probably are already watching you. Either they're already a coach or they're not a coach yet, but they're probably already watching you. The catch is they need to watch you for a long time before they get that belief in themselves and in this business that they can do this thing too and do whatever they want to do with it. That's the catch, because they're usually pretty successful people, or they're usually doing pretty well with whatever else they're doing in life. And so they're not going to a lot of times jump into something and just jump and just kill it and put everything into it, because they're already doing a lot of other things in life. They're busy people. So they're going to have to get in and watch you for a little while. And so what most coaches do, the biggest mistake I see most coaches make is they don't understand that the people that they want, those leaders that they need on their team, are going to have to watch them for an extended period of time and watch them consistently show up for an extended period of time. So this business is like trying to run up an escalator that's going down. Has anyone ever tried to do that, like in real life, like run up an escalator that was going down? It's fun, right? Like, I used to do that all the time when I was a kid. I still do that sometimes. I record videos while I'm doing that sometimes. So when you're running up an escalator that's going down, like, it's exciting. You're like, all right, you're like, oh, this is going to be new. Like, I haven't tried this before. Like, I'm going to run up this escalator that's going backwards, and I'm going to see what I can do with this. And you start to run, right? Like, new coaches get in and they're excited and they start to run, and they're running up this escalator. They're going full speed. And all of a sudden, like, you start to realize, man, like, my business isn't really growing as fast as I want it to. People aren't saying yes as fast as I want them to. People aren't developing into leaders as fast as I want them to. But that's just, like we said, they need to watch for a while. So if you get on this escalator and you're inviting and you're talking and you're showing up and living your lifestyle that you really believe in, and you're allowing other people to watch, and then all of a sudden you say to yourself, man, it's not moving as fast as I want. I think I'm going to take a week off. Or, man, like, my life is so hectic right now, I think I need to take a week off. All of those people, those 2 or 3 leaders that you wanted on your team that were already watching you probably, they see you stop. And when they see you stop, they lose all of the trust they started to gain, all of the belief they started to kind of get, all those questions they started to kind of get out of their mind start coming back. And they look at you and they go, man, like, they're not even doing it anymore. Like, good thing I didn't join them. Or what's even worse, you do have a coach on your team that does have the potential to turn into a leader, and they see you take a break, and then they go, well, they're not really working the business anymore, so why should I? Like, it's not worth it. There's, and then they stop, and then they go back down the escalator. And I'm not saying this as like a thing where I'm like trying to preach this to you. I'm telling you this from personal experience, because I did this to myself for 4 years. I've been a coach for 10 years. My first 4 years, I didn't really have a lot of success with the business because I was one of those coaches that never stayed on the escalator for a full year. There's so many coaches that have been coaches for over a year, multiple years, but they've never stayed on the escalator for a consistent full year. And so I was a coach for 4 years, but I didn't have a ton of success because I had never, ever stayed on that escalator for a full year. Meanwhile, during those 4 years, I saw other coaches start this business, stay on the escalator, not take a break, live the lifestyle, show up every day, do their invites, do their follow-ups, whether they felt like it or not. And they developed these 2 or 3 leaders that they were now running with a team. And I was by myself going up and down an escalator, having some coaches join me, but then they'd go back down the escalator when I did too. And I did this to myself for 4 years in a row, until I finally realized that this business isn't rocket science. It wasn't like these coaches that were having all this success and developing these leaders were doing anything different than I was. They were just doing the same things I was doing, but they were doing it on the days they felt like it, which I was too, but they were doing it on the days they didn't feel like it, which I was not. And that was the biggest difference. Successful coaches do daily what others do occasionally. That's the escalator mindset. And so I finally got back on the escalator and I said, I'm not getting back off this thing because, 1, I'm someone that wants to see what kind of potential I really have. And I know that when I show up to my workouts every day consistently, I read a good book every day consistently, I eat right consistently, I check in with my groups consistently, I just know that mentally and physically, I'm a better version of myself. And so I'm the kind of person that wants to see what kind of potential I have. So I'm going to do that just because of that reason alone. Yeah, there's a business side, but I'm doing this because that's just kind of who I am. And not just for me, but for other people. You only get one life. Like if you're only focused on just yourself, like it kind of gets boring at times. But if you're focused on what you can do and who you can become and the impact you can have on others, it gets a little bit more exciting. So I kind of made that decision. I'm getting back on this escalator and I'm not ever getting off this thing. Doesn't matter if I have success with this thing or not. I'm not going to ever stop living this lifestyle and trying to become a better version of myself for myself and for the other people around me. And I just knew that if I did that, my business would grow. But I wasn't desperate for people because I was like, I'm going to live this lifestyle and invite other people on this journey with me. Whether or not they say yes or no, I'm going to continue to do that just because that's just who I am. And so that mindset shifted from, oh, I'm going to get on this escalator for a little bit, see how this business goes, dip my toe in. If people get on board, cool. If not, then I'll just go back to not doing this and just give up. That made me feel desperate when I was talking to people. It was like, if I can't find people to do this in a certain amount of time, then I'm going to quit. But when I had the mindset that I'm never, ever quitting, I'm never going to stop this, I stopped being desperate for people. And people started to notice a difference between a kid that was desperate trying to build a business versus a kid that was a man that was living a lifestyle that he really believed in. And if other people want to join him on that journey, cool. And if they didn't, that's cool too. But he wasn't going to ever stop. So I got back on the escalator with that mindset, and people noticed a difference. And they said to themselves, and this is what's going to happen to you when you get back on the escalator for this time and you never get off. People are going to look at you and say, man, this person's not desperate for me. Like, they're going to do this and live this and be successful with or without me. I can either get on board with them or I can watch and get left behind. And that was the escalator. That's the escalator mindset. It's this long-term mindset. So the thing I'm always trying to figure out is how come some coaches have this escalator mindset and some don't? Why did I have it and then I didn't, and then all of a sudden now I do? And I've noticed it's two things. One is your why. And there's different aspects of your why. So part of your why has to be what I already talked about. It's just that this is just who you are. Like, you're the kind of person that wants to live this lifestyle. You want to do your workouts. You want to read good books. You want to eat right. You want to surround yourself with positive people because you want to live the best version of your life. You want to become the better version of yourself. And you know that those things are going to help you get there. And you know that those things are going to help other people around you get there too. And that's important to you as well. So part of your why is, I'm just surrounding myself with these kind of people, surrounding myself with these kind of workouts, this kind of personal development, this nutrition, these superfoods. I'm doing these things because that's just who I am. I want to see what I have in myself. I want to reach in and see what I can do, what kind of potential I have. That's part of your why. Part of your why is you want to have an impact on other people's lives in that same way too, because it gets boring just focusing on yourself. Like I said, like, the next step is you want to do something with your life that's going to impact other people's lives, because you know that's what makes you feel even more fulfilled with your life, is if your actions are having an impact on other people's actions, and essentially that's going to have an impact on their quality of their life and the fulfillment they have, and yours too. And then another part of the why is that you're doing something financially, and not everybody has that part, but if that is something that you're doing, something that's personal to you and your family and your family's future, that's going to allow you to spend more time with your family. That's going to allow you to give back to your community more. That's going to allow you to travel more. Those kind of things. Basically create and mold the ideal life for you. So I noticed that these coaches that get on this escalator and never get off, like, they have a very powerful why in all those aspects. Themselves personally, the impact they want to have, the type of time they want to spend with their family, the type of life they want to create for them and their family and their friends and all that. Right? And then the second part is the belief that the things they're doing every day are actually going to help them achieve all that stuff that's on what I call their why list. or their vision board. If a coach has an unbelievably strong why, but they don't have the belief, they're going to get there. They're not going to stay on the escalator. They're going to keep going up and down, falling off, coming back. But once a coach has that super strong why and they have this really strong belief that comes along with that why, then they're unstoppable. They're not going to fall off that escalator. So those are the two things. I just saw something there. After this call, would you comment that the list, I need a new version? Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of the why and the belief. That's the big picture mindset. So 2 or 3 leaders is what's going to get you there. And then kind of another way I help with creating the belief is I kind of reverse engineer it for coaches. So whatever their goal is, whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's they want to impact a ton of lives with their building a quality team, or they want to create an income, or they want to do both. The answer is finding and developing those 2 or 3 leaders that really want to run with you on this thing, that want to live that lifestyle, that want to have an impact as big as you want to have, and want to start to build a team to create that impact. It's going to come from finding and developing those 2 or 3 leaders. Those 2 or 3 leaders are going to come from your challenge groups for the most part, because they're usually going to be people that fall in love with the products and the lifestyle. And the way you get people into your challenge groups is what we talked about, is being on that escalator, living that lifestyle yourself, not being desperate, but just, this is how I am. This is who I am. This is my life that I live. And coming from your heart and getting out of your head. I think a lot of times we spend so much time in our head worrying about what other people are going to think, versus focusing on coming from your heart and focusing on who you can serve, who would benefit from being a part of a community like this, who would benefit from having some workouts in their life, or some superfoods in their life, or a personal development book in their life. That's something I'm always looking at and focusing on in myself with my mindset is, am I focusing on my head? Am I focusing on what other people think of me? Am I afraid to post or invite because I'm worried about what other people think of me? Or am I focused on how I can serve others and sharing what has helped me and what I believe can help other people? And if it does help them in some way, great. And if it doesn't, at least I put it out there. But it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. But at least I gave those people the opportunity to take a look at this. So that's kind of the big picture kind of escalator mindset. And then I'm always kind of working on that with my coaches. So anytime I get on a call with one of my coaches, or for you guys that are starting to build your own teams and you guys have coaches of your own, when you guys start to talk to your coaches, which I really think is important for you guys to reach out to your coaches eventually when you get there. I love doing these calls where I basically have 3 questions that I ask. And this is something I've done for years. I did this, when I was working full-time in accounting. I would be busy, but I made the time to try to get on these little 20-minute calls with my coaches. And there was 3 questions I'd ask every time, and I still do these calls to this day, and I love it. First is I ask them, and this is going to tie in with the 2 things we talked about, your why and your belief, because I think those are the powerful things, right? So the first question is, what's your why? I want them to tell me and put it out into the universe what their why is. Because a lot of times the only time someone thinks about their why is when someone asks them what it is. And then sometimes they just say something that sounds cool, but they don't really feel it or believe it. The coaches that are having so much success, that are on this escalator, that are killing this business, their why is on their mind all the time. It's just like always there. It's always fueling them. So I want my coaches to say out loud what their why is as much and as often as possible. And I want them to write that down and have it there and focus on it. All of those things, the why list, the vision board, the person they want to grow into. Like High Performance Habits is such a great book. And one of the things is clarity, and having clarity on the future person, your future self, who you want to grow into. The 3 words that define who your future self is going to be. That's part of your why, because you know that this business and the vital behaviors are helping you grow into that future self. Instead of getting caught up in who you are right now, focus on who you want to become, your future self. And the 3 words that really hone in on who you want to be and the 3 words that other people are going to describe your future self as. One of the coolest things that helps me is I have set in my phone every 3 times a day. I have an alarm that goes off in my phone that has my words, and I read them out loud, and I feel it, and it gives me a clarity of the person I want to show up as, and it gives me fuel to show up as that person. So I'm starting with that first question. What's your why? Who do you want to grow into? Who's your future self? What are the 3 words that the people that you care about most are going to describe you as, so that you're starting to now cultivate those words, those emotions, so that you show up as that person? And then financially too, what kind of goals do you have if that's part of your why as well? What if one of your whys is to have a little bit more income? Cool. Like, yeah, you want to make an extra $1,000 a month, but how would that change your life? And okay, cool. Maybe you want to help a couple, 3 people make an extra $1,000 a month. How would that change their life? The people you're trying to help, your niche, how would an extra $1,000 a month impact their life? What kind of peace of mind would it give them? What kind of weight would it take off of their shoulders? And then if one of your goals is to create a bigger income, that's that financial freedom, what would your life look like? What would be the first thing you did in the morning? How would your life look a little different if you weren't going to a job or something that you have to go to now just because you have to use it to pay the bills? But now, so this is something I'm doing. Like, this is the first question I'm talking to my coaches about, cultivating that why fuel with that why list, so they can fill that why tank every day. Okay, so then the second question, now I'm into the belief. The second question is, do you know how you're going to achieve all of those things you just listed? All of those things you just told me as your why list, as your vision board. Do you know how you're going to achieve those things? And the answer to it is that escalator, staying on that, committing to those things every day, finding those 2 or 3 leaders that want to do this with you, that want to impact a bunch of lives with you, that want to create that life with you, that want to do this and run and build a team with you. That's how you're going to get there. So now they're starting to understand the big picture. So their belief is, they're not like, oh, this is some cool thing, and they're looking around. Now it's like focus. It's like, this is how it's done. I have tunnel vision. And then so those are the first 2. And then the third question is, what's the biggest obstacle or doubt or struggle that you think you have that's holding you back from believing that it's inevitable you're going to stay with this and find those 2 or 3 leaders that want to do this with you? That first question is all about your why. Those second 2 are all about the belief. So the first question, finding out their why, strengthening their why, getting them out of their comfort zone so they can dream a little bit bigger, putting it down on paper, put maybe a vision board if they're visual. Then the second question is getting them a little bit more tunnel vision on what they're focused on achieving eventually. And then third question is knocking out the BS, lies, and fears and crap that hold us back from thinking that we're going to be able to do that. And so when I get off these calls, they've got a much stronger why, a much stronger belief because they see the big picture, and they've knocked out some little doubts and fears and all that bullshit crap that's getting in their way. That's the mindset. And once a coach has that mindset, the skills, they pick that stuff up. If you have a coach that you can't figure out how to get them consistent, it's because of one of those 2 things. Their why isn't strong enough, or their belief isn't strong enough. If they have a strong belief and a strong why, you don't have to try to get them to be consistent. They just will be. That's the mindset. Then we shift into the skills. So I have like what I call kind of the 5 skills that I teach a coach, my new coaches, and then they teach their coaches these 5 skills. These 5 skills are set up so that once you get confident with these 5 skills and you get confident teaching your coaches these 5 skills, you will kill this business. You don't have to look around and think, I'm missing something, or I don't know how to train a new coach. It's like, no, here's your 5 skills. If you get good at these and you help your coaches get good at these, you're going to be very successful. You're going to impact way more lives than you think you ever could. You're going to create a financial freedom if that's your thing, and all the things that come along with that. You're going to grow as a human. So here's the kind of the 5 skills. And I try to help my coaches. I have them rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. And I tell them, this is a judge-free zone. Like, I want you to just be truthful. Let me know where you are on a scale of 1 to 10 with each of these 5 skills. And then if they're not at like a 7 or an 8 in all 5, then we know where we need to work. I think the biggest thing that holds coaches back is they feel like they're missing something. With this, they don't think they're missing something. Yeah, they know that they're like not feeling confident in a certain area, but at least they know what it is that they're not confident in, and they can focus on that and get better at it versus looking around thinking they're missing something, which is that's a killer. So here's kind of the 5 skills I go through with the coaches. The first one is sharing your journey on social media. Sharing your journey on social media. So you got to be on a journey to share your journey, right? So sharing your journey on social media, we talked a lot about your own journey. Like that's part of who you are. That's part of your why is you're just someone that wants to be on the journey because you want to grow, like you want to become a better version of yourself. And you know the things that you need to do each day to make that happen. Sleeping, getting your sleep, getting some sunlight, getting your movement, getting your meals, getting your mindset with your personal development, right? And then sharing those things on social media. If a coach doesn't know what to post or they're struggling on their posting, on sharing their journey on social media, it's because maybe they're not on a workout program that they've committed to, or they're not doing personal development. If you feel like you want to up your posting game and up the quality of the posts that you're sharing, read a personal development book that really resonates with you. Find a program that you love. Fall in love with your journey again. Commit to a program from beginning to end. It's the thing that's going to help you share better is having that love for your own journey, because you're going to pull out nuggets on your journey that you're going to be able to share with others that are going to help them. One page from a book, a line from a book. That a lot of posts I do is there's a line that resonates with me from a personal development book that I read that morning. I pull that line and then it reminds me of something that happened to me in my life. So I have a story that I share along with that. And those are always the most powerful posts, are a story from your life, that a struggle you overcame or something that you faced or something that it's personal to you. The more personal, the more universal. It allows other people to kind of get in your head a little bit and learn more about who you are and some of the struggles you've been through. If you want to really connect with someone, it's not going to be about talking about how excited you are about something. A lot of times the connection happens with the struggles, the commonalities of the struggles that you've been through. That's just human nature. If we see someone struggling and we've been there before, we like feel like we're in their life and we want to root them on and we want to connect with them. Whereas a lot of coaches, they don't want to share that stuff, and all they share is how great their life is and how positive they are. And a lot of people just aren't there, and so they can't really relate to that. So if you do go through a struggle or you've been through a struggle, you can share the struggle. You can share how you got through it or how you're planning to get through it, obviously, too, is helpful. But sharing the struggle is where people can connect and relate to you. So that's kind of starting to kind of share your journey on social media, and the kind of the 4-step process for sharing your story on social media is, 1, you share your background. So you kind of share a little bit about who you are, what you do for a living, your background, that kind of stuff, because people are going to relate to that. Then you share kind of the struggles or the obstacles you faced or are currently facing. And then the third is the opportunity you found that's helping you kind of get through whatever that struggle was. Because there's a reason you found these workouts, you found this business opportunity, you found this community. There's some struggles or obstacles or things you were trying to like make better or overcome. That's where people relate to you. And then they're willing to listen to the solution you found that's helping you. But if you're only sharing the solution, they're not there yet, they can't connect with that. So that's kind of the process for sharing your story. And again, like with sharing your story, with posting on social media, stop giving an F about what other people think of you. There's probably 1 or 2 people that you care about what they think about your posts. And those one or two people you're letting those one or two people dictate what you share on your social media versus the thousands of other people that would probably benefit a lot from hearing from what you're doing, your journey, your struggles, your triumphs, thousands of people that would want to benefit from that. But you're letting the other one or two dictate what you post. Let those other thousands of other people dictate what you post. Let them dictate that. Cool? Okay, so that's kind of the sharing on social media. The second skill is, okay, now like people are starting to watch your journey. You're on this journey. They can tell you're not desperate. They can tell this is your lifestyle, not just something you're doing quick fix thing. Then the second is, okay, let's get more eyes on your journey. Let's start to connect with people one-on-one now. Let's start to reach out to old friends. Let's start to connect with some new friends. So number one skill, sharing. And you can go ahead and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You can even put it in the comments where you think you are currently on sharing on social media. 1 to 10. Don't be afraid. And then the second skill is connecting with others. So connecting with old friends, reaching out to people in Instagram or Facebook or face-to-face or whatever it is. The reason I have my coaches rate themselves kind of easily, on a scale of 1 to 10 is because I want to know where we need to focus our effort to get them to the point where they're going to be having success with this business. Because if there's one of these 5 skills that they're not killing, if they're not feeling really good about, then it throws off the whole kind of the business. So we want to get them to like an 8, out of 10 on all 5. And, most coaches are obviously not going to start out at 8 out of 8. And that's fine. But we want to know where we're a little bit off. So now we know where to put our effort versus just kind of like guessing and trying to be like, I don't really know what's off. Like, I just know it's not working. Now we know why it's not working and we know how we can fix it. So 1, sharing your journey on social media, being on that journey, your own journey, right? And if you even want to, like, you guys can give yourself, and I think it's so important to have a scale of 1 to 10 of like your big picture mindset, like that, how strong your why is, how strong your belief is. Because when I do those 3 questions on those 20-minute calls, my goal is to eventually help them get their why to like an 8, 9, or 10 and get them over some doubts and obstacles and build their belief to an 8, 9, or 10 as well. Because if the why and the belief are 8, 9, or 10, well, that's a great foundation to start to build these skills off of. So then now the skills, I try to see if we can get them to an 8, 9, or 10 in all 5 skills. So the second skill is the connecting with other people. Just being a human being. I don't know if any of you guys were on the call, the national call today. It was a really great call about what she called PB&J invites, peanut butter and jelly invites. So the way she explained her invites was she's got her peanut butter she has the first piece of bread, then the peanut butter, then the jelly, then the second piece of bread. So it's kind of a 4-step process. So the first slice of bread is just thanking people for liking or commenting on your post or watching your story. And obviously the more time you put into your sharing of your journey, that's first skill, the more quality of your posts, the more personal development you're doing, the more you're sharing your workouts and that you're sharing your story and getting better at that stuff, the more likes, comments, and people watching your story you're going to get. So that's kind of the first slice of bread. Then you put the peanut butter on is you go, okay, this person liked, commented or watched my story. Let me go and see what their page looks like to see if we have anything in common. And then and I want to give them a compliment on their page. And then ask them a question about, what it is that I saw on their page. So you're thanking them, then you're complimenting them on their own journey, and you're asking them a question about themselves. And then the jelly is then you invite. But I really love that she emphasized the whole thanking them, appreciating them for supporting you. And then you go to the peanut butter, which is compliment them about their own journey, about their life, about your commonalities, and then asking them a question about their life. So they start to feel like, okay, this person's isn't just trying to be interesting. They're interested in who I am and getting to know me too. So that's kind of that second skill is the connecting. And so so we got sharing, then we got connecting, and then the third is inviting. So here's my mindset behind inviting, because I think this is the skill that gets most coaches hung up. To me, inviting is like these calls we have, our challenge groups we run, the workouts we have, the Shakeology, the performance line, the things we do, the community we have, the lifestyle we live, to me is like a party. Like we have this really cool party that we're inviting people to join. So to me, it's like, yo, I got this cool party going on. I'm going to invite other people to be a part of it. And if they want to come to the party, cool. And if they don't, cool. But at least I gave them the invitation to show up. It's like if you have a wedding, you send out invitations to people, and a lot of people, they decline, they can't come. But that's fine. Like you don't get upset about that. It's just what you do get upset at is, oh my God, I totally forgot to invite them. And now they're like upset that I didn't invite them. To me, it's like, yo, we got this cool party going on. If they want to I just want to make sure they have an invitation. If they show up, cool. If they don't, cool. But the last thing I want is for them to feel like they didn't get invited. So that also has like a mentality to it. So people, when you're inviting, people can tell the difference between like this person's desperate to sell me something versus this person's just inviting me to do something that they're already doing already, and they're pretty cool about it, and they're not pressuring me. And if I don't do it, they're not going to get upset. And I have an open invitation to join them at some point in the future, you know, when I'm ready. And people respect that because they're like, this person is living this lifestyle. They're inviting me to join them on this journey. If I get on board with it, cool. If not, they're not going to get mad at me. And I want them to know that it's an open invitation. They can join anytime I want. But the last thing I want is for them to not feel like they got invited. So again, got to get out of your own head and stop focusing on what other people think of you or might think of you, and just put the invitation out there and say, hey, I got this cool party going on. I thought of you. Just wanted to let you know that you're welcome to join. You're welcome to come to the party. No pressure though, like totally up to you. BYOB. You know, if you don't want to come now, you know, anytime you're ready, just let me know. Open invitation. And they're going to be like, cool. Like that was really nice of them. Like to let me know that they didn't pressure me. And a lot of times they'll be like, maybe not right now, but I appreciate that. And then you can ask them, you know, in a month or two or something like that. But that's kind of my mindset behind inviting is like, yeah, I got this cool party going on. You don't have to do 20, 30, 100 invites. Do like 3 to 5 really good ones every day. 3 to 5 really great invites where you go to your posts or you go to your friends or whatever, and you find 3 to 5 people that you can thank or, you know, for commenting or liking your posts, or 3 to 5 people that you can compliment on their posts, and then that invitation to join you. And I think she kind of worded it. She just said something like, I hope I'm not being too forward, but I noticed you're a positive person and I'm always looking to connect with positive people to support me on my journey. Have you ever considered doing an online boot camp? Or how are you doing? Or are you on your own health and fitness journey? Just asking them that. Hey, are you on your own health and fitness journey? That's a very non-pressuring, non-salesy kind of thing. If you just do that quality invite with 3 to 5 people each day, Monday through Friday, and you teach your coaches and your team to do those 3 to 5 quality invites every Monday through Friday, like all of a sudden you're going to be having these quality connections, a quality coaches, quality team. And you don't need a million coaches to be successful. Like we said, you just need those 2 or 3 really great leaders that want to do this with you. So that's the third skill, is inviting. So you can go ahead and kind of comment in there in the comments and let us know kind of where you feel you're at with the mindset of inviting, and then the actual like doing the invites at least, 3 to 5 a day consistently. There's coach, you can do just the posting and expect people to come to you. It's not going to work. Even if you're a super successful coach that's been doing this forever, it's not going to work. You have to do the inviting part. But if you just do the inviting and you're not doing the sharing, that is very tough too, because they've never seen you post. They don't even know what you're inviting them to. They haven't seen your journey. If you do both, now they've been watching your journey. You've invited them to the party. They might have said no, but guess what happens when they say no? they watch you even closer. So a no is one of the best things you can get from people. It's better than a not asking them, because a no means not yet. I'm going to watch you a lot closer now, though. And Facebook's going to put more stuff in their newsfeed from you if they see you guys having a conversation in your inbox. Same with Instagram. So having the conversation, getting a no is much better than not giving the invitation at all. So we got the sharing, we got the connecting, and then we got the inviting. And those three things are kind of the equation to get people into your challenge group. But the thing that most people don't think about and never do, which is really where I think 80% of the success comes from, is following up. And that's something that we just get away from because of organization or whatever it is. So finding a system that works for you to make sure that you're following up with people. Some people use Asana. For me, I like to not just look at my unread messages. I like to start at the bottom of my inbox and message the people that had seen my message from 2 days ago but hadn't responded. And I just kind of let them know that, hey, just wanted to make sure that that you knew that the challenge was starting. I want to make sure you didn't get left out by mistake. That's it. That little follow-up, I can't tell you how many times people have been like, oh, sorry, like, no, I definitely want to hear more about it. Sorry about that. Because they're looking at their inbox when they're in the grocery line or their kids are yelling in the back and they like just don't have time to respond to your questions. Because I invite them, and then the second thing is if they're interested, I ask them questions about their goals, their struggles, that kind of thing. And so a lot of times they don't respond to those questions. So the follow-up is so important. Having a system to follow up with people is huge. And I can share the link to like the document that I have that has the 5 skills, because that document has a link to the follow-ups I use, the invite steps that I follow. Right in step 3 in the invite is like a link to what I use. For those 3 skills, like that's really all I teach a new coach kind of to get started. Really, like the first thing I do with a new coach, like I have a new coach that just signed up this weekend, and all we're doing is 2 things. And this is all I do with new coaches. I only have them do these 2 things. I got this from Danielle Ream, or Danielle Hill's her maiden name. It works so well. You don't confuse them. You just give them 2 things to focus on. 1, you help them draft their coming out as a coach post. And 2, you show them kind of how to message the people that are liking and commenting on that post. That's it. You don't confuse them with all this other stuff. You literally teach them how to draft that post. I had her send me the rough draft of her post. I gave her a few pointers. She posted it, and then I gave her the script to kind of follow of how to thank the people that are liking that post, commenting on that post, the flow of how to invite those people to join her on her next challenge that she's about to start. She's like so excited because she drafted this cool post. I helped her draft it. I helped her share her story. She had all these people that liked it. She's already has all these conversations going. She's already starting to get confidence. She's already excited for the next step. Because I didn't throw a million things at her. I just gave her 2 things, and that was easy for her to handle. And now she's starting to gain confidence. She's starting to like get momentum, and this is becoming easier. That's such a great thing to help a new coach with. And on this document that I'm going to send you guys the link to, the 5 skills, like in the 5 skills, like under skill 1, which is sharing on social media, there's a link for drafting your first post. So that's like, I send that document, and you guys can use that document. That's the document I use to send to coaches, brand new coaches, to help them start to have ideas of how to draft the post. I say, here's the document that's going to help you come up with ideas on drafting your first post. Send me the rough draft when you get a chance, and then we'll go through it together. And then that's all I have them focus on, one thing. And then once we kind of figure out the rough draft and make it final, they post it, and then I send them the little script for how to invite or start to talk to those people that like their post. That little script is in skill number 3, a little link to that script that just says script for new coaches. So that's very helpful for them. They just have 2 things. They don't get overwhelmed, and they get confidence, and then they're like, all right, now I'm excited to keep going with this thing. So skill 1, inviting. Skill 2, connecting. Skill 1, sharing. Skill 2, connecting. Let's go 3 is inviting. The only other 2 skills are, one, the 4th skill is giving your challengers an amazing experience. The 5th skill is introducing some of your challengers to the coaching opportunity. That 4th skill, I really think that is a lot of times the foundation of most coaches' successful businesses. Because if you fall in love with the experience you give your challengers, then people can feel that. And when you're inviting people, they can tell the difference between someone who's just trying to sell versus someone who's trying to give you an experience. For someone who's trying to sell you something and says, good luck, see ya, have fun, versus someone who's like, hey, this is just the beginning. If you do commit to this, this is when I'm going to really start to work for you. And I'm going to do everything I can to connect with you and give you the best possible experience so that you aren't just on your own trying to complete a 21-day program. You're going to be given such a great experience and be a part of such an amazing community that this is going to turn into a long-term, sustainable, healthy lifestyle. Because that is the goal of the challenge groups. Our job isn't to sell challenge packs. Our job isn't to give people amazing 21-day before and after photos. Our job is to help them start to create some habits and break some bad habits that lead to a long-term, sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And hopefully being a part of a community is part of that too, along with the amazing products that Beachbody's created for us. So really falling in love and taking ownership of the experience you give your challengers is, I think, the foundation of the business, because if you fall in love with that experience, people can feel that. You're going to get more people that want to get on board with you because they're not just buying the challenge pack, they're buying you. So you're going to get more people that want to do it. The people that do your challenge groups, they're going to be way more likely to want to become a coach, because it's just like going to a good movie or a good restaurant. You're going to tell your friends about it if you had a good experience. Same with customers that have a great experience. They're going to be more likely to want to refer others by becoming a coach. And if they do become a coach, they're going to be a much better coach because they're going to give that same experience to their people that you gave to them. So the foundation of your business is really the experience you give your people in your challenge groups versus just selling them something, plug them into a group and saying, all right, later. The 5th skill then is, okay, now let's introduce some of these people to the coaching opportunity because I think they'd be amazing at it. And in my document, I'll share the link with you guys. There's a kind of like the flow of the conversation I have with people, with my challengers, on how I introduce them to the coaching opportunity. Here's the thing about that mindset and those 5 skills. If you can get really comfortable with those 5 skills and get your coaches really comfortable with those 5 skills, you guys will kill it. So that makes you feel like I don't have to look around and like I'm missing something. It's all right here on this one little 1-page document. I know where I'm missing. I know where I'm off. I know where I'm not quite an 8 out of 10 yet, but at least I know where I'm off versus not knowing why it's not working. Now I know why it's not working, and I can put my effort into developing that skill, just like you develop anything in life. Just like you learned how to walk as a baby, you're going to fall and get back up, fall and get back up. That's how you're going to develop these 5 skills. You're going to fall, get back up, try again, and you're going to get better and better at these 5 skills. And you're going to get so good at them that you're going to be able to teach them to your coaches and help them learn how to fall and get back up until they feel really comfortable with those 5 skills and feel like confident that you got everything all right there. You're not missing anything. They're not missing anything. It's all right there. They just got to get good at those things. That's going to put your mind at ease, that little chattery monkey brain that we have that like makes us feel like we're missing something. It quiets down because it's all right here. 1 page, 1 tunnel vision, 1 focus. And it allows you to really put the emphasis in there, the effort into it, and develop those skills just like a regular job. This is like a normal job, or this is like kind of going to college, where most people, I think, come into Beachbody and they're like, oh, like I'm going to be really successful right away. It's going to work right away. And I'm not going to really have to work at it. But it's just like anything else. Like when you went to college, you had to go to class, you had to learn the skills to then be able to graduate and get the job you wanted. Beachbody's no different. You have to learn the skills, teach them yourself. Like you don't get to go have trainings, but you can't like go to a class. You have to take the ownership to develop these skills on your own. then you start to earn the income and build the business that you want. But you got to develop those skills just like anything in life. So that's the big picture mindset. That's the 5 skills. And that's really all I try to focus on with my coaches is the mindset and those 5 skills. And then the only other thing is then trying to help them just get really good at helping their coaches, their teams get really comfortable with the mindset and those 5 skills. And I think that's why, they've developed into these great leaders, because they have a simple little system that they feel really comfortable with, that they don't feel like they're missing anything. And they just know what they need to do. And then it's just a matter of putting the time in to help their coaches start to develop that mindset, that why, that belief, and then develop those 5 skills, and start to duplicate that throughout their whole team. The last thing I'll say is, like, the thing I've noticed about coaches, the leaders on Team Boom that are having the most success, and just Beachbody in general, the leaders that are having the most success, is they have this unbelievable culture that they start to develop on their team and the foundation of that culture is personal development. The personal development is really kind of that foundation. They have a love for each other. They have this community feel. It's almost like a family. Everyone's out to root for each other. Everyone's out to help each other. Yeah, they're trying to build a business, but they're not going to do anything that's not going to help someone else. You're not going to put their goals ahead of what's going to help their coaches, because they know the thing that's going to help their business grow is focusing on what they can do to help their coaches. So instead of being focused on, like, oh my God, I need to hit diamond, they're more focused on, I just need to help a couple coaches get to emerald. If you can help 2 of your coaches get to emerald, you're probably going to get to diamond. If you can help 4 of your coaches get to emerald, you're probably going to get to diamond. That's so much more fun to say, I just want to help 4 of my coaches get to emerald, than saying, I want to get to diamond. It's like, no, focus on helping 2 or 3 or 4 of your coaches get to emerald. Then all you got to do is teach your coaches how to help their coach get to emerald. So if you have a coach that really wants to get to diamond, help them figure out what they need to do to help a couple of their coaches get to emerald. That's it. It's just all about helping coaches get to emerald, and then helping those coaches help their coaches get to emerald. And that's a very, not a very daunting task versus someone saying, you got to hit 5-star diamond or all these things. Just help your coaches get to emerald, and then help them just realize that all they got to do is help their coach get to emerald. They just got to help a couple of their coaches get those 2 coaches of their own. And all of a sudden you're going to start popping emeralds all over the place. And if you start popping emeralds on your team, all of a sudden you're going to have business builders that really want to do this, and emeralds are going to pop more and more, deeper and deeper into your team. And you're going to have all of a sudden, then the diamonds will come kind of naturally from that. But it starts with those emeralds. All right. We got about 5 minutes left. Any questions? You guys can unmute yourself, or you can type it into the chat there. But I really think that this is something you guys can do yourself. Be honest with yourself, figure out 1 to 10 where you're at with your why, your belief, and then each of those 5 skills, share it with your upline so they know kind of where you're at, where you kind of need to put a little bit more focus to get yourself to that 8, 9, or 10 in those 5 skills. And then do this with your coaches, with your team, and start to figure out where it is you guys are a little bit off. Because if you don't know if you don't know why something isn't working, why your business isn't growing, that's not good. At least with this system, where it's off, why it's not growing. So then where you got to put your time, which is way better than not knowing why it's off. So it starts with you, and then doing this with your coaches helps big time. Any questions? Nope.
Nope. That was awesome though, Pat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
There's always just something about the way somebody says it, or the environment you're in when somebody says it. It's hearing the same things, but especially you, there's nobody who can talk about mindset and vision like you can.
That's what I was going to say, that same thing, Pat. I've heard you say most of those things before, but I don't know if I just hadn't written it down before. The way you broke it down between mindset and skills, and then the 3 things and then the 5 things, it just kind of brought it all together again for me. I really appreciate that.
Really refreshing to hear the way you say it too, because I think sometimes we can get so caught up in who's doing what and they're doing this, and it seems like overwhelming and like 60 invites a day and you just feel but when you kind of break it down and you're like, this is what you need to do, and you don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
it's refreshing.
Yeah, something I tell my sisters sometimes and I tell my coaches sometimes is, if you're stressed, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're stressed, that means there's something that we need to come back to and make it simple again. Because this whole business is all about about duplicating. And if it's not simple, then it's not going to work. So a lot of times our monkey brains, like, will get off on a tangent and look over here what someone else is doing. And then all of a sudden it gets shut down. So hearing the same things over and over again is good, because it brings you back to, okay, I'm making this too complicated. Here's the simple process I need to just focus on and get good at and help my coaches get good at. Take a deep breath, come back to those simple things. Simple, simple, simple. The simpler, the better.
Yeah.
I think it was really good to hear somebody super successful like you say, 3 to 5 really good invites a day is good, because a lot of us really think that we have to do like 100 invites a day to be successful, and people get freaked out all the time, and we try to remind ourselves that that's not the case. So I really appreciate you saying that for mine, everybody else's benefit.
The only thing about that is there's always this like 2 or 3 month lag on when the results show up. Sure. So the efforts you guys put in this week are going to show up probably in November, Christmas time, probably. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, like the results of what you do this week are going to show up between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so what most coaches don't understand, they don't understand that. So they put in the effort this week, and then next week the results don't show up, so they don't put in the effort next week.
Right.
Whereas if you put in the effort this week, next week, and just do those 3 to 5 quality invites Monday through Friday from now until Thanksgiving, you guys are going to set yourself up to kill the holiday season, and the New Year's resolutions are going to come to you because of the work you put in right now. That's the 3 to 5 invites, yes, but you have to do it for the 60 to 90 days for it really to pay off.
Right.
That's the escalator. Staying on that escalator. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pat.
You got it, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Pat. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys. I'll see you guys on the escalator.
So send us those docs and the recording when you guys check second.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll message you guys.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right.
See you guys.